Hi, welcome everybody to this video here on the La Blue channel. That was, by the way, founded by my wife. And you see a lot of content here on the channel, older stuff that was mostly made back in Germany when we were living in Germany. I am from Germany, and then we moved to the Philippines at the end of 2023. And I will do this video by myself without my wife, because this is more related to my experiences here in the Philippines that I had in the last. One of the experiences is the noise that you will sometimes hear in the background, because it's a bit busy street, and there's sometimes pretty loud, noisy vehicles, and I cannot filter that out with the microphone. I tried like many settings, but you will still hear some strange roaring sometimes when there is a loud vehicle. So I guess we can all live with it. Yeah, and this brings me to today's topic, because I want to talk about what is the most significant difference that I have experienced in the Philippines, considering daily life, not just like a one-time experience, but like the on basis of a daily life. What is the most significant difference between the Philippines and Germany? And yeah, now, of course, everybody will think about the climate and the weather. That is a very obvious thing. Then many people who know the Philippines or who have seen other videos from other people know that the Philippines can be noisy, as I just mentioned, loud vehicles, barking dogs, the roosters that you hear like early in the morning already, then loud music everywhere, things like that. It's also kind of obvious, and yes, of course, it is a difference to most places in Germany at least, but it's not the most significant one. Other things that could be mentioned is how, yeah, what people are doing with the garbage, with the trash, that it's like burned at the side of the street or in the backyard, and you see the smoke that's that's coming from the backyards and not always smelling very good. Things like that could be mentioned, but that's also not the most significant difference. There's a different political system in the Philippines. There is a different culture, of course. That's all very obvious. That's all very expectable. There's things like the stores are open on holidays and on Sundays, which is not the case in Germany, still not in the year 2025. Things like how a funeral is done. We just had one here in the street this morning, a bigger one. And when I saw this the first time, of course, this was a cultural shock in some way. The loud music and the procession that they are doing while they are walking to the cemetery. And that's only a small part of the whole funeral that they do here. It's very different from Germany, where a funeral is silent and definitely no loud music. Of course, some people do it in a different way, but if you take the normal, the common, the standard way at least, the fact that the rich and the poor are living close together sometimes is still at least a difference to a well-developed, industrialized country like Germany. That's also very obvious. The fact that the Philippines still is in some way what they call a developing country, even though I don't really like these terms very much, but you know, one of the things that you experience is the brownouts, the power outages that happen here much more frequently. I also say still, because I'm not really sure the direction that Germany is going to. That will be a very interesting thing to watch in the next years. So if it's not the weather, if it's not the noise, if it's not, could be mentioned, the patience that you sometimes have to have and that people here actually do have, while in Germany, people usually are not very patient with things. And if it's not the food, I could also have mentioned. If it's not all that, what is it then? What is the most significant difference if I compare my life in the Philippines to the life that I had in Germany? This, of course, you want to know now, and don't worry, I will tell you. Well, the most important, most significant difference to me is how people are treating me, how the locals, the Filipinos, are treating me. And maybe I should mention in this context that we are living in Lingayen, the capital of the pretty much northern province of Pangasinan, pretty much in the north of Luzon and in the north of the Philippines. And it's a place where you don't see a lot of Western tourists. You also don't see very many expats from Western countries. And of course, this may be one of the reasons. Maybe for people who live in the best known tourist spots or in the big cities like Manila or Cebu City, places like that, maybe to them it's not quite as significant as it is here in Lingayen. But yeah, how do the people treat me actually? Of course, not unfriendly or anything like that, so it's all fine. But they treat me, of course, very differently from how the people treat me in my home country, where I am nothing special. I am just a person like many other persons, even though I'm quite tall. I am 6'3" tall, which when I was young in Germany was pretty tall. I was usually one of the tallest, if not the tallest, in class when I was going to school still. Of course, in the Philippines, that's much more striking. And I have only seen very few young men in the Philippines, Filipinos, who almost reach my height at least. And so I kind of stick out of the crowd. So that, of course, is another thing that has to be mentioned. But still, I think that most other foreigners from Western countries in the Philippines experience the very same thing that I am experiencing here. Like one of the things is that people are calling, "Hey Joe." Now, "Hey Joe" is, of course, when you are German and not American, is kind of weird. And sometimes I say to the people, well, I'm not American, I'm German, which causes then other things that they come up with, but that's not the topic of this video. This is one of the things. Then the other thing is that people sometimes also, and especially maybe women, sometimes tend to stare. You know, they look at me like just 1 or 2 seconds too long, even if my wife is walking next to me. And these things all together sometimes make me feel like I am an exotic. And I can kind of now feel how it must be and must have been even much more in former times for people who came to a foreign country with a different skin color, from a different culture, people that are easily recognized as not one of us, if you want. Like in my youth, when I was a kid, and when I was a young man, not so much anymore when I was a young man, but when I was a kid, very much still. There weren't many people from Africa that you could see in Germany, especially not in a especially not in a small provincial town where I actually came from. And somebody who had a black skin really was exotic, and people were staring at him or at her. And they didn't mean it in a bad way. The same as here, the people mean it in a nice way, actually. They are curious and so on. But of course, it gives you some weird kind of feeling. And now I can a little bit imagine there's a plane. It's landing here on the Lingayen airport, small airport, local provincial airport here. And yeah, this is now I can kind of imagine that much better how that feels when you are exotic in a foreign country. And yeah, then the people, of course, are curious. The children surround me. They have many questions, which is cute, of course. Which I absolutely I like to talk to them then. And yeah, and sometimes there is scenes like that happened actually twice. And I was going to an open air concert here during the Christmas time in Lingayen, and there weren't very many people there watching the concert, and but still there were like I don't know, like 50 or 100 other people there, and the guy from the stage from the band says, "Hey sir, thank you for coming here."
And I'd like to say hi to our foreign friends over here. Yeah.
And you know, now meanwhile I don't tend to to turn my head and look like who does he mean now, because I'm already aware the only person that he can mean here in this crowd is me. And yeah, and then of course it's I'm still not really sure. Am I just embarrassed? Am I flustered? Am I I don't really know how to say it. And I am not used to this, of course, and of course I have not been the most extrovert person back in Germany, and here I have already learned to be a lot more extrovert than I used to be in former times. And then the second time it happened in a resto bar where we were having our dinner, and then there was a live band playing, and then after a few minutes they had played a couple songs, and then suddenly, hey sir, and where are you from? Do you have a wish? Can we play something for you? These are the things. Or at a supermarket when the people are really in a long line for paying. You know, there's like 10 lanes, but they are all very, very busy, and the people have to wait for 2 hours sometimes. That's not an exaggeration, until they can pay and leave the store. And yeah, and we are standing there, and suddenly they open a new cash register, and the girl says, hey sir, you can come here. Of course, my wife was also there, and of course, like, how do you react in such a situation? It's not really fair to the other customers, but on the other hand, if she means it really nicely, so you do it or you don't. So I have to say this only happened to me once so far, and that first time, yeah, we just did it. We just went there and we paid, and at least we had a good feeling because 10 other people could, like line up behind us. So we also helped them in a certain way. But these are things that people mean it very nicely. But of course, I don't want to be treated in a better way than the local people here are. And yeah, but things like that sometimes happen. And all these things together make me feel like I am an exotic. And this to me, after now 14 months in the Philippines, is the most significant difference to the life that I had before in Germany. And I hope that I could explain it to you why that is. Maybe if other people, expats, whatever, who come from a European or North American country or from Australia, whatsoever, maybe if you have experienced similar things, you can write it in the comments, of course. Maybe if you don't agree with me, and for you there's other things that are much more significant and that are much more important, or you didn't even experience these things at all that I was describing, then also feel free and write it in the comments. That's very interesting for me to read. And besides that, I hope that you enjoyed the video. I think that more stuff like that will come here on this channel, because I think that many people are really interested in the real experiences in the Philippines, especially because my wife and I, we don't live like what you would call another loud motorcycle, a life that you would call the normal expat life, where the people are spending half of the day in the mall, half of the day maybe at the beach, I don't know, and they always go to restaurants to eat and so on. These are things that we do only very rarely. We lead a normal life. We have a business here. We have people here who work for us. We have lunch together with them, and merienda we have together with them. And we live in a completely normal street. We have the customers. We interact with the common people here. And maybe that makes it especially interesting for you to watch the channel. If so, we appreciate it, and we are glad to make more videos for you. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so yet, and give us a like. And I hope you will all be here again for the next video then very soon. Thanks for watching. Have a great time. Bye.